it's blooming 90 degrees there all the time. And he just annoyed me, and the fact that he gave me wedges probably didn't help. But when I first met the spy, I just didn't like him.
Who does, really?
Well, he's French.
Allow me to repeat myself. Who does, really?
Really. But you know, and you'd think that, you know, that with accent and all the hoity-toity stuff, that, you know, that he would be an interesting person, but he's really not. He all he wants to do is kind of be French and be cooler than everyone else, and so I like to kill him. The nice thing about being in Team Fortress 2 is you get to kill him over and over again. You know, usually in the real world you get to kill someone and then they're just dead, but in the world of Team Fortress 2, they always come back. It's so nice.
So you clearly enjoy your work, like none other, perhaps. And do you find that at any point in your life that you were like, well, yes, putting holes in people's faces, clearly the job.
Well, no, I want to stop you right there. It's not just people's faces. I mean, the back of their head is just as satisfying as the front, really, or even the side. I mean, and how many have played the sniper here? What's wrong with the rest of you? So, what do you prefer, the face or the back of the head or the side of the head?
I personally like to shoot out kneecaps.
I can't understand any of them. You one at a time. So you like the face? Back of the head. You, face? While they're running. See, isn't that satisfying? Moving targets. You see, it saves you. You just sit there with the barrel and wait for them to come in front of the barrel. So I hate people who stand still. I have to move.
Now, who would you say is the most difficult to land that bullet in the head or face?
Usually, podcast interviewers.
Thank you all for coming.
No, the reason that podcast interviews are so hard is that most of them have lawyers and police forces, and you know, there are all these sort of repercussions to actually put the bullet in the face.
Oh, we're completely lawless in here. Nobody's a secret police officer that I know of, right?
No comment.
You were safe, and nobody here is a spy.
But I noticed you didn't let me bring my arms with me.
Well, that's for fun. That's for fun.
I see. Well, you're running this interview, so ask me a question, and it better be a good one.
Good. Do you like cookies?
No, I usually turn them off on my computer because, you know, you get all that.
You're going to love the internet, I'm just saying.
Yeah. How many people here have an old truck? Had one? Yeah. You have the little house on the back? No. See, it's something about having your home with you. You know, having a place to go and relax, and have a little bed, and it's very nice, very sweet. I can't recommend it. How many of you have a little bobblehead doll on the dashboard? Did you ever just want to flick it?
All the time.
Good headshot. It's just so satisfying. Yeah.
I heard that about you somewhere.
Yeah. It's nice. It's nice. I like it.
So you like having your home with you all the time. Does it make you feel more comfortable, or is it just more convenient?
Well, in my line of work, a lot of time it's important to be able to leave quickly. So it's nice to have, you know, and you can imagine, I mean, someone like the spy, I mean, he's got to book hotel rooms in advance, and, you know, planes and trains, and, you know, I just hop in the old truck and off I go. And particularly when I'm in Bangkok, you can fit about 57 tiny Bangkok cheap prostitutes.
So what you're saying is you like to drive from Australia to Bangkok?
Yeah. Over the great white sharks. While I'm going to school for shooting people in the face. I don't know. Thank you. I'll put it on a ferry. You've heard of a ferry?
Yeah. Cockney pal.
No, I don't think they call them fairies in France.
What do you think they call them?
I think they call them French people.
It's not.
Now, I'm not talking about homosexuals here. I'm not talking about homosexuals here. To me, I think that, because we don't call homosexuals fairies
It's a lot of
in
homosexuals.
Australia.
No, you mean like the ferry boats operated by homosexuals? Because that's actually a pretty booming business.
Now, I'm just talking about the ferry boats operated by anybody who take a truck on them so that you don't have to drive through the great white sharks in the ocean. Try to keep up.
A real man would drive through great white sharks.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I love him.
I've never actually met a great white shark, and the reason I don't like them is that their heads just flow into their body. You know what I mean? What kind of thing is that?
Right? Sorry, that's just...
It makes me think there is not a God. And where's the head of a bleeding octopus or a squid? I don't get it. Or an asparagus, for that matter. That's why I don't shoot vegetables.
Well, you, my friend, have clearly a lot of experience doing what you do. You love what you do. You're very lucky in that regard that you get to do what you love. I mean, not all of us can say that. So you have to feel every day when you wake up and you're still alive that there's no knife in your back and you're like, hey, it's a good day.
Well, I like to say that, do what you love and the pink mist will follow. Yeah. Am I right?
Save your words for medicine.
Yeah.
So I think we've learned quite a bit about you today, sir.
Well, one thing I do want to say is that my relationship has gotten a little bit better with my father lately when I discovered that I could tell him that I was into decorating. And, I just can't count the number of walls that I've decorated with someone's brains. And it gives us something. It gives us something to talk about, something in common.
Well, so when do you go home for the holidays then?
You mean back to my truck? Yeah, I go home for the holiday. You mean back to my parents? For the holiday?
To the old home, right? Is that the home you grew up in when they still live?
To Alice Springs?
Yeah.
You ever been to Alice Springs?
Oh, the sharks, right.
Right. Even with the sharks, there's nothing to do there. And, there's some painful memories there. The people have eaten my first 3 girlfriends. So.
That's got to be rough.
It's bad. Thank you.
So we bridge
That's
that
my little
part. Jesus Christ. So, all right, so you're saying you finally started to get along with your father. I think we can all appreciate there's some warmth there. Feel it in your heart. Perhaps you want to share with us one last story about you and your dad, maybe something heartwarming about how you started to connect.
There was a fishing trip that we went on in the outback, way up north. And we have crocodiles in Australia. And we were sitting there by the shore, and we both had our fishing rods, and I had my first sniper rifle, which my dad had actually got me to hunt with. And I'd modified it extensively and put a longer barrel on it and the scope and stuff like that.
Naturally.
And he was upset about that because he thought that that I would start shooting people, and he was upset about that. But we were fishing on the shore, and a big croc about a 20-footer came up and grabbed my dad by the leg and was pulling him in, and I grabbed my sniper rifle and I was going to take a shot, but a crocodile's head flows right into his body. It's just like a shark. And so I hesitated because, I wanted to take the shot, but you really couldn't tell where the head was, except that my dad's leg was going into it. And so I thought, oh, all right, I'll get to shoot the head of the croc and my dad's leg at the same time. And so I went ahead and took the shot, and went right between the croc's eyes and right between the tibia and the fibula. Didn't even graze either bone, not even a chip. Went right through the leg and out through the bottom of the croc's head. The croc let go of my father's leg, and and all he had was a tiny hole in his shin and a bunch of tooth marks on his thigh. And I'll never forget what he said. What he said to me after that. It was don't be ashamed if it brings a tear to your eye. But he said, and he said just like this. He said, "What the fuck were you thinking? You shot me in the bleeding angel, wanker!" And it was a moment. It was I'll never forget that. I'm sorry? I can't understand you. You have some kind of weird dialect.
I think he's a pyro.
Are you a pyro? No. No. Old Snaggletooth. Now, I've never met old Snaggletooth. How is he doing? Oh, you don't actually know him? You just name drop him?
Someone's getting cocky.
I know people too, I know Gladys. So perhaps we could open it up to the audience and see, because your questions are bleeding about sharks in the desert and driving across the ocean. I mean, you just.
Yep, this is a special day for me. So I think that's a good idea, though. Why don't we have some of the people that were good enough to show up today and take their time to spend with us? Perhaps they would like to ask you something.
I'll be glad to answer anything.
Let's see that. No, that's you, the one that smells bad. Yeah.
What is your favorite alternate weapon?
My favourite alternate weapon of the weapons that you can buy in TF2. My favourite is probably one that you haven't seen yet, but it's very nice. It's nuclear powered, and you can shoot it at the head of state. And when I'm talking about the head of state, I'm not talking about the president or something like that. I'm talking about the entire government, and take it out all at once.
Clearly, I think we're solving all of our problems in one sitting.
Now, there is a very nice sort of steampunk pistol that, excuse me, that is, it doesn't shoot very well, but it looks very cool. And so when I'm in Bangkok, I always have that one with me to make my image better. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Hmm?
Who is your favorite teammates? And who is your least favorite opponent aside from Spot?
All my teammates are crap. I'm the only one who knows what he's doing. And it's, that's the only downside of my work, is that I have to work with such incompetence. So, but I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anyone, but they all suck.
That makes sense. I can follow that.
How many jars of beer should we produce a day?
How many jars of urine do I produce a day? Well, it depends on whether or not I'm working, because of course I hate coffee, and so if I'm not working, I'm not drinking coffee. But on the job, I would say, on a good day, I would produce between 300 and 400 jars. I'm what they call in Aussie a pisser.
See what you did there with the words. You, sir.
When you were last here, you mentioned that perhaps the pyro was an alien, but it turned out the pyro was just crazy. Have you ever tried the pyro's goggles to see what life is like with the pyro's eyes?
Well, actually, the pyro is the only one that I get along with. We have great conversations because he doesn't talk. But a few people know this, but the pyro is a poet. He's a very sensitive soul, and his poems are very short and very sweet, and they always talk about things like bunnies and unicorns and rainbows and mummy. So that's a little bit about the pyro that people don't know, and that I do because I'm cooler than everyone else.